with that. I'm tired. I'm tired. And tonight we're going to talk about what you need to master the mindset, the mindset to keep going, especially when you're ready to give up, especially when you're ready to give up. You got to master the right mindset. And so I first want to just define, I want to define what we're talking about, y'all, when we talk about this whole thing about perseverance. I mean, everybody for the most part knows what the word is, right? But I always like to make sure that we talking about the same thing, because we could be thinking about, we think we're talking about the same thing and we're not. Perseverance is simply persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay. Oh, did y'all hear that? Persistence is doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success and getting to your goal, and you and your boo coming back into alignment and getting to the next level in your career and feeling like you're heard and dealing with the same old funky mess in my relationship. It doesn't matter what it is. It's doing something despite difficulty or delay. My husband often talks about, when we're talking with couples or even individuals about funky-ish in your relationship, well, he often shares, and some of our Blamley members are aware of this. I ain't gonna tell it the way he tell it, because I can't tell it like he tell it. But he talks about the fact that when he was younger, when he was a little boy, he used to play chess with his dad all the time. And his dad would always beat him, as he should, right? He was teaching him how to play the game and also teaching him some life skills through this game of chess. And one thing that my husband said is that he continued to make the same move over and over and over and over again. And it wasn't until one day he stopped and paused before he just picked up the piece and did the same thing. And what y'all think he did? He made a different move. I think he was getting him in something called the Fool's Mate. I think I might know the story a little bit. He was getting him something in some, any of y'all chess players out there know what a Fool's Mate is? I think that's what it is. But he made a different move. And so many of us, we don't make a different move. We keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. We continue to meet frustration, and then we feel like tapping out or giving up. And tonight, this Relationship Thursday is just an alarm for somebody who needs to hear it in the right way, in this right time, that I want you to sit down, but I don't want you to tap out. Somebody type, don't tap out. Don't tap out, just sit down. But don't roll out. Don't roll out, don't leave. So we're talking about developing and cultivating a mindset that will help us to continue to move forward, to do something. Don't forget that, to do something in the midst of difficulty, despite difficulty or delay. A delay is not a denial. There's a reason that you're where you are. I always say, I believe, this is really my personal belief, that all things are as they should be. And that is difficult for many of us to be able to digest, depending on whatever difficulty you're dealing with. But I believe things are always as they should be. So when I'm really feeling some type of way about whatever the thing is for the day, because it is always something. Somebody type, it's always something, ain't it? And I know it is. That's what I feel like. I just remember and I remind myself, everything is always as it should be, because the lessons that I'm supposed to be getting, the things I'm supposed to be taking in, the places where God is trying to stretch me, the territory that I'm being set up to master, all of those things are happening, but I'm going to have to go through some things and deal with some challenges and suffer even through some delays that I may not want to, in my relationship, in my own personal growth, in my ability to master my own feelings and emotions, and feeling like I've said this over and over again, I'm reading the same damn journal entry over and over and over again from 1999 to 2003 to 2017, whatever it is, right? I'm reading it over and over and over. I'm like, dang, you still dealing with the same shizzle, Deanna? You still dealing with the same thing. And it's been 10 years, 15 years. But one of the things that I was able to recognize along the way is that I have made progress. And most of the time we don't know that we've made progress because we are not approaching this thing correctly. This thing of feeling like we want to give up. We're ready to tap out. We're not approaching it correctly. So tonight, let's come correct. And I'm going to share with you a few things, a few reasons, prominent reasons. There can be any number of reasons why you feel right now like you're ready to give up, why like you're ready to tap out. Like, well, you can what did I say earlier? I said don't tap out. I said you can sit down, don't tap out. So you might be ready to tap out, but I just want you to sit down, take a break, but then get back up. And a lot of times it's because of burnout. Anybody know about burnout? Burnout. Y'all know about that, IG? Y'all know about burnout, Blamley? We hear burnout in the professional space all the time. We hear it in helping professions, mental health professionals, social workers, therapists, people who are in the helping space. We hear that a lot. Medical professions, but also it's just anybody, you know what I'm saying? Because we can be so just, the rigor of the work that we have to do. You can be burned out from just your own trying to like make things better. I'm burned out. I can't do another sit up. I ain't trying to come up with another meal plan or work on this weight. You know what I mean? You could be burned out because you just going and going and going. And so when we don't recognize that we are overwhelmed with life, that there is too much going on, when we don't recognize that, we continue on as usual. And what ends up happening a lot of times is that the delay that we're experiencing, whether it's, again, a relationship issue or a life issue, is being prolonged by our lack of recognition of what's really going on and what's needed. When you feel burned out, you don't even have energy to do the regular shit. You don't have energy just to do the regular. It's a push through to just get up and move forward and brush your teeth. You just doing sometimes the bare minimum. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Just the bare minimum. And so when that's happening, which it happens for most of us, we can get to a place of being burned out, especially if we are not practicing self-care and moments of taking care of ourselves on a regular basis. We have to sit down and pause. But I'm going to get to that in a moment. Another reason that we oftentimes feel like giving up is because I'm about to say scared. I'm about to come up with a new word. Not afraid and not scared. We are scared. We are afraid. We are scared of failing in whatever the thing. We are scared. Okay. I think I like that. We are scared. Because you're putting out a lot of energy. How many of y'all are getting up every day, putting out a lot of energy to live your life, to do what you need to do for yourself, for your kids, to go to work, to pay the bills, being vulnerable in your relationships? Maybe you not, but you still putting one foot in front of the other. It's a lot of risk out here. It's putting a lot of risk out, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of vulnerability. I'm like putting myself out there. And so we are scared. We are afraid of failing. I have put this much time and energy into this man, into this relationship. I have put this much time and energy into this career, into these children, into what I said I wanted to do. And I am afraid that I might fail. And so instead of seeing what's around the corner, if I stay leaned into it, I'll just give up. It might be a little more tempting to just sit down and say, it's too much. I'm tired. I'm going to give up. So fear of failure. Fear of failure is another reason that we oftentimes feel like quitting. This last one, y'all, is a doozy. And then I'm going to shift into some things I think we can all do, and I challenge myself to do when I get into these spaces. But this last one, if you're just joining me tonight, I am talking about the art of perseverance. And we're talking about what you need to do to develop a mindset of perseverance so that you do not quit, so that you sit down, but that you don't tap out. And so far, we talked about some of the reasons that we feel like quitting, burnout, fear of failure. And this last one is a doozy: lack of progress. Some of y'all, that's why I said when I just said I'll be looking at my journals from different years, and I'm like, damn, it's the same thing. Said I could just draw a whole bunch of connecting dots. Why I seem the same? Am I making any progress? Lack of progress. You can look at your marriage. You can look at where you are in your career. You can look at how you feel like mentally and emotionally. Sometimes people are feeling isolated, left out. You just feel like you're in the same place. I'm in the same place with the same stuff, the same situation, and there's not any progress being made. then clearly what I've been doing or what I'm doing, this ain't working. It ain't working. And I'm done. I can't tell you how many times I've heard I'm done. And sometimes from myself. And so we're ready to tap out and we're ready to move on. But don't you know, oh my goodness, don't you know that whatever it is that you resist, it will persist? It just shows up in a different package. It might show up in a different woman or in a different man. It might show up in a different place or in different kinds of relationships at work or with your family. But whatever you resist persists. And whatever you look at, it starts to dissipate, it starts to disappear, it starts to settle down. So I want to encourage you tonight to not to not be caught up in like the okey doke of thinking there's no progress just because it appears as though you are in the same position. It does not mean that progress isn't happening. This is why when we see people who are successful, like, oh my gosh, they just came up out of nowhere. They got a whole album. They on TV. They do, whatever the things are. And we see celebrities and stuff like that, right? We're like, wow, they just burst out on the scene. No, baby. They've been making progress for a minute. They've been moving, but it looked like they was in the same spot. It looked like they were sitting in the same spot. But they've been moving. They've been working. They've been pressing forward. I have a couple who is in our community who shares their story about shifting into a place of real divine alignment and really moving into a place of answering the call on their lives, not just to like level up in their relationship, but to actually be a motivation and really answer the call for them to work with other people. And if they were to look back at the years that led up to them getting here, they could certainly say we're just in the same place, and they could have tapped out. They could have tapped out and gave up, and they would have abandoned the mission. They would have betrayed their destiny. They would have given up on the final arrival of where they are now, giving life and light to other people, coaching other people, being able to enjoy each other, actually having really good conversation and connection, and building a whole life that looks amazing. Had they been caught up in the, they ain't making no progress. Don't believe the hype. It's not always what it looks like. And just because something does not feel good doesn't mean it's not good for you. Catch that and write it down if you need to. Just because something don't feel good, we can't be going off our feelings. Feelings are good to know what we feel, but we can't determine our whole next step based on our feelings. It's just information. I love all the love that's coming from IG. Thank you. I appreciate it. So what do we need to do, y'all? What do we need to do? The first thing, I'm going to pause, because if I don't pause now, I'll be going to forget to tell y'all. The first thing is that you have to do something. You have to do something. And there's a reason I'm saying that. We defined perseverance at the outset, right? And we said it is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay. Oh, I'm glad you need it. I'm glad I'm giving you what you needed. L Coop 655. Doing something in the midst of difficulty or delay. And so I want to say this right now. I don't know why I just did like this. I want to say this right now. I want to invite you, particularly my sisters who are on here listening tonight, before I shift into what you can do in addition to this, I want to invite you to join me, because I am having a 21-day experience to address this very thing. And you can go, actually, it's in our bio on IG. And you can go to loveonher.com. We got to learn how to love on ourselves and love ourselves up out of the funkiness. And we got to keep going, and we got to keep trying, and we got to keep showing up, and we got to keep coming to the things. We got to keep moving and being persistent despite difficulty and despite delay. So go to loveonher.com. It is the Art of Overcoming experience, happening September 9th through the 29th. It is a 21-day experience where we're going to come together every single day. And we're reading a book for 21 days, ladies. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time nightly. We're coming together and we're going to have small breakout groups. We're going to discuss. We're going to look at our goals. We're going to look at what we need to get up off us, and we're going to do the damn thing. Loveonher.com. I really invite you to come and join me. I'm getting hot. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. And on Instagram, you can type the word grow. That my husband put a little thing in front of me and I forgot. You can type the word grow and you'll get a DM with information. Okay. This price that's on there too is ending Sunday at midnight. Ending Sunday at midnight. Okay. So that price goes away on Sunday at midnight. So we're talking about persistence and being persevering in the midst of difficulty. One of the biggest things that has been helpful for me in my life, I'm not telling you what I think, I'm not telling you what I studied, even though I have studied this, I'm telling you what I know and what I have done. You have got to reframe. Reframe. Somebody type reframe. Some of y'all in the Blamely are like, oh, they should go with that reframe again. That's because you need to hear it again. And again and again. And so do I. You have to reframe. I need some reframes in the chat. I like the grows in the chat. Grow, grow, grow to get that DM. But on IG, I need y'all to be with me. Reframe, reframe. You have to change your perspective. And you have to continuously be in search of how to change your perspective, because we are attached to our opinions. We are attached to our experience. We are attached to our feelings, and we are absolutely attached to our perspectives. But guess what? Nobody has the monopoly on perspective. Your perspective is not the only one. You got to make room for your partners, and you got to make room for your mamas, and you got to make room for your bosses, and you even got to make room for your kids. You can still have yours, but you have to reframe. You have to reframe. And so you have to look at the challenges that you have as opportunities. This sounds semi-basic. Yeah, Iana, I mean, I get that. Oh, it's a challenge and I can overcome it. That sounds like something we've all heard before. But it is the simple things. It's the simple things that we hold on to in our mindset that allow us to break through to another level of success, another level of health, wealth, prosperity, love. It's the simple things. So how many times, I just want to ask this in the chat. I want to know how many times you're dealing with something that is difficult, and perhaps you've gone through the day, right? And so it could be how your partner's attitude and their energy. It could be, for me, I've just been a little funky lately. So it's just been me. You know how you like to look at yourself, it's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord. It ain't nobody but me. I'm like looking at myself like, damn, you got an attitude. You got energy. And I got to go outside and I got to walk. I got to be vulnerable and say, baby, I need a minute. I got to sit down and be in my journal. And when I finish all of that, I'm still got an attitude. Da, 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 da. I still got an attitude. And so why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because changing your perspective, reframing is something you have to continually do. You have to look at your situation from another angle. You have to look at what are the opportunities that I have. You have to stop and say, you know what, even though I'm really pissed off about whatever, there's so much I have to be grateful for. And I'm so pissed off. I'm not trying to be grateful right now, but I know I need to do it. And you got to stay at it. You got to break down your own resistance, because some of us are some hard asses when it comes to like I'm mad. This is that's just what we do. Some of us are just stuck on being funky. And I can only speak to it because I know about it personally. So we got to reframe. We got to change our perspective. We got to look at, you know what? I am tired of the fact that my partner does not talk. They don't bring nothing to me. They be walking around sometimes with attitude. I don't know what the problem is. I'm tired of this. That's their issue. They need to say something. This has been going on for the last 7 years. You can look at it from that perspective. A lot of people know about that. It's a common dynamic. But you can also reframe and you can say, wow, I have attracted the partner that's going to challenge me to put myself out there and to be attuned more to what's happening with them and to ask them what they need, to ask them what's going on. It's gonna require me to be vulnerable. I don't want to do that because they're already walking around funky. And then if they don't give me no good energy when I reach out to them, then my feelings are hurt or I'm irritated or I'm mad. And so the easier thing to do is what? You over there, I stay over here. You ain't talking, I ain't talking. You're not gonna say nothing, I ain't gonna say nothing. But who does that benefit? It benefits no one. It does not benefit the relationship, and it certainly doesn't benefit your personal growth. Because we need to do the things that we need to do. We need to learn the things that we need to learn. We keep getting the lessons we need to get, not just so that we can get an outcome from our partner, from the next person who we're dealing with, but so that we can grow. So that we can grow. And I might want to add on there and glorify God in that. Just gonna add that on there. So many of us are looking for we want a transaction. If I do this, then you should do this. If I show up and pour my heart out, then you should give me back the same thing. But that's not real life. It don't work like that. And so we got to get some emotional maturity, but you ain't gonna get no emotional maturity if we do not grow ourselves up and practice standing in places that are uncomfortable. Standing in places by ourselves where our partner looks at us like, don't give us no validation. We done sat up here and performed a small miracle, and they don't even give us no energy. But we need to do it anyway. Anyway, so we have to change our perspective and we have to stay at it. And the way that you cultivate this perseverance, there are a few things that I think are really important. I talked on it's not even out yet, our next episode of our podcast. If you have not checked out our podcast, you can go to YouTube and find it. It's in our IG bio, Black Love and Marriage. I talked on the episode that's coming out about, like, I had this long list of all these things that I need to do. And, I think sometimes I'm talking to my husband, you just be having like one or two things and you want that whole one or two things to dominate everything. And I'm like, bruh, I got all this stuff. And, I feel like you're being inconsiderate, blah, blah, blah. It's coming out on Monday. But one of the things that I know is that actually don't work for me. Any list makers in the house? I make all kind of lists. But I get overwhelmed as hell with the damn list walking around with it. That's where you at, El Coop. Okay. It doesn't work for me. You have to have small, achievable goals. I have to. For me, I have to dump all the things out on a piece of paper. And I put everything from a bill that need to get paid to I need to go tell my husband I love him. I put everything. I need to sit down and, make sure that I do some journaling, and I need to take the chicken out the freezer. I put everything on there. Okay. Because I have ADD too. So I'll be forgetting stuff. So I might do a little more than y'all do. But once you do that, it's really important to just take a few for each day, for each week, just maybe one or two, and put those down and get those accomplished, and break the big tasks up, even the big task of having a conversation that you don't want to have. And get yourself together. Sometimes you have to get yourself together. You might need 3-4 steps before you actually get to the conversation. You might need to pray on it. You might need to journal about it. You might need to get some feedback from somebody who's a trusted friend. And then you might need to write down your important points that you want to make. And then you have the conversation. That's 4 steps before the 5th. Break things down into small, achievable goals and tasks, and that helps. And you have to develop. I feel like when I say this, show, I know early on when I used to hear this, I would be like, oh, just be smiling like that's cool. I get it, but it just didn't hit for me. But the more I grow and the older I get, I recognize how important it is. And that is self-compassion. That is grace. You must give yourself grace. You will give no one else grace. People I see who have a hard time giving their partner grace, they don't give themselves much grace. I know that I used to be hard on my husband because I was hard on myself. I wasn't cutting nobody no slack because I wasn't cutting myself no slack. And so we gotta have some compassion, because we can't even see things clearly. Life be life, and things are rough. But if everything is messed up and everything's a whole hot mess, and everything is bad, and there's no ability for us to be able to distinguish out the good or the wins or the celebrations that we should be able to distinguish out, that is a discipline, then that's how we encourage depression, we encourage overwhelm, and we bring on anxiety that is unnecessary. And this is not to say that those are the only pathways for depression or anxiety. Some of us are living with those things. And I always say, don't suffer with it, live with it if you have to, but make sure you're navigating that in a way where you can get the best of what you need to get. Get some counseling, get some coaching, some medication, do what you need to do so you can be well. You ain't got to suffer. Don't suffer. Don't suffer. I just want to put that sidebar in there for those of you who are dealing with those kinds of things every day. Don't suffer. And so we have to be compassionate. That means that we got to look for things that soften us up. I have to constantly be on the hunt for things that soften my heart. because I'm inclined to be a little hard. I don't know how else to say that. And that's just based on my upbringing, my background. My daddy wasn't around for me. I'm a Leo. I'm a little hype. My first encounter with a man, my father betrayed me because of the ways that he was not there for me. God bless him. He is deceased, and God bless him. He did the best that he could. But that set me up in a certain way. So I have to work on being soft because I developed a hardness to deal with that situation and anybody else who wanted to come my way. So we got to develop this compassion and this softness and this grace. We got to do that. We got to look for it. It will not happen passively. You have to be proactive. And the last thing, y'all, I want to share with you that I say over and over and over again, and it's not for fake, it's for real. I need y'all to believe me. You cannot stay isolated. You cannot stay disconnected. You cannot stay by yourself. You must connect in with other people. You've got to be in communication, in connection with other like-minded folks. You cannot keep it on the inside. This is not even how Black people are set up. People of color are set up. We seek wise counsel. We look for community. We feel better when we come together, when there's some good smells in the kitchen and you can sit down and have a cup of tea or maybe a cocktail and you can talk and you can put your shoes under the table and feel a little good. You can feel better by being connected. But I think based on how human beings are set up, when we are in a place of difficulty, we isolate. Not everybody, but a lot of us isolate. And this is something we have to break up. And especially when we're having emotional challenges, mental health challenges, we're overwhelmed, it's too much, I'm just ready to give up. We really isolate. We don't want to talk to nobody about it. We might give a testimony at church or something like that and be like, God is good, but we're not going to talk about what we're really feeling and how heavy it is as soon as we set foot outside the church house. And we've got to be able to allow for all of it. And so how do you do that? You stay connected. You make yourself stay connected. And that is why opportunities like being in connection with community in your local community, in your church or mosque or wherever you worship, in nature with other people. Y'all heard of Girl Trek, they go out and walk together. Those people come together. We have our community, the Blam Core community. And for those who are guests, if you decide to join in, go to loveonher.com. This upcoming Art of Overcoming experience happening September 9th through the 29th. You'll meet many of our Blamly members. And the women who are members of this community, right? You got to find your place. And just because you feel like, oh my God, that feels horrible, I don't want to do that. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So recap, y'all. Go to loveonher.com for more information about that, right? That price ends on Sunday night. IG, type the word grow to get information directly to your DM. But the recap, again, we are developing perseverance. We're not developing a strong woman. I'm here and I can do anything and everything and I don't need no help. We're not developing that. We're not developing or promoting I got it all by myself. We are developing perseverance. And that is persistence in the midst of difficulty or delay, recognizing that delay can be divine, that difficulty is absolutely divine. It's okay. You don't have to struggle in the difficulty. Those two things are not synonymous. You can set yourself up to be in the difficulty and to sit on top of it and to be on it like water. Like, oh, this thing is hard, but I'm cruising on it. I'm not drowning in it. And you do that by changing your perspective, by reframing, and by constantly looking for ways to reframe and challenge your own thinking, not believing everything you think, by stepping outside of yourself and your situation and challenging yourself. First, just do it by yourself to look at your situation and give a different perspective other than yours. What might be another way to look at this thing, even if you don't want to or don't believe it? And then we need to have small goals. We need to break things down and stop overwhelming ourselves. We need to make sure that we are giving grace to ourselves and compassion to ourselves so that we can thoroughly do that for others. And then we need to seek support and we need to be in community and we need to be with other folks and get out of isolation. Get out of isolation. This is a rough time. in America, in the country right now, because there's a lot of stuff going on. They say, inflation going on. Y'all know the eggs I used to get. Okay, real quick. I get, when I go to the store, I get like, how many eggs be in that thing? 60 eggs. I get 60. I got a big family. Do y'all know I used to go and get eggs and it was $12 for 60 eggs. It is now $19, that same box of eggs. Inflation is a mofo. So if you got inflation happening, you got job issues happening, you got relationship stuff happening. You feel like you're moving and moving and moving and moving all the time, but there's no joy. Where am I getting my sweetness? You have to create that. Where am I getting my love and feeling connected and feeling some goodness? You have to create that. And you are responsible. I am responsible. We are responsible for the energy that we bring. And whatever you are getting, oh, chew this one real good, is a reflection of what you are putting out into the world. It is. Whatever you are getting is a reflection of what you are putting out. People will match your energy. Your partner, your spouse will match your energy. They may not come the same way that you come, but they will match you. Change your energy. And you will find that they will rise to meet you, or you will outgrow them. It's the same thing for your friend, same thing for your people around you. You can rise up. And so again, I want y'all to join me. This thing gave me life because I needed it. I told y'all this morning I was slow. I was like, I don't know. And that's why I said I need to do this, because I need to speak to myself. That's what you got to do. You got to put your hand on your own head and you got to speak to yourself, speak life to yourself. And that's what I'm doing when I'm talking to y'all. So I hope that you all found something of help today. I'm glad. Let me look over here to Blamley with these comments. I'm so glad that y'all found this to be good in some way. You needed this message. I needed this message. And continue to bring, you had to go, if you didn't show up for this, for those who felt like you got something, you would just be, you wouldn't be exposed. So we have to expose ourselves continually to different energy and to what we need, so that we can continue to elevate. Go again to loveonher.com and IG, put grow in the chat, type the word grow in the chat, so that you can see more about the Art of Overcoming experience happening September 9th through the 29th. 21 days, we're coming together in the evening every single day, reading together, growing together, talking and sharing together. So everybody, you are so welcome. You're so welcome, Spencer. And let me just tell you, God is good. God is good. Let me just say that. God is good, because everything happens as it should. I said that early on. I believe that. So just know that you were on here tonight because you needed to be. I was on here solo tonight because I needed to be. And we're all going to be where we need to be if we would just elevate our mindset, persist, persevere, sit down, but don't tap out. Everybody, be easy, and I will see y'all next time. Peace, y'all. Bye. Bye, Blam.